Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Three rounds left and the championship just got tighter. Everybody is sat on tenterhooks at this moment in time, and you start wondering, okay, what is next in terms of the horizon? This is a great circuit. If you're behind, it's your great chance to get in front. If you're in front, it's a chance to look around and really have to earn your stripes at that moment going forward. Make yourself known. It is time, and it is Interlagos here with the iRacing Grand Prix Tour. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Jay Kennedy is alongside with me for the ride at a truly magical track. You cannot replicate this circuit pretty much in the suburbs of Sao Paulo, Jay.
Yeah, it's one of the best circuits in the world, without doubt. It doesn't matter what sort of car you put on. It's incredible racing, and you and I both agree it should be the finale in the real world, but it's not anymore. It's going to be a brilliant race today, though. Round 21, the championship is tightened up, both the iRacing and SimSpeed championships, and this absolutely iconic bit of road provide one of the best races of the season, I feel.
A circuit which has had many different variations of it over the years, but it has settled on this 15-turn incredible cauldron, I would say, of action. The way that it pretty much forms this massive amphitheater around it is an anti-clockwise 4.3 kilometers, and it is going to be a big 71 laps that they will be racing here today. Overtaking opportunities are plenty with the run to turn 1 and the run down the Reiter Aposta to the Skida de Lago, turns 4 and 5 out there on track. But let's talk championship standings here, because this is an important juncture in terms of the racing. There are just 2 rounds after this, Belle Isle and Indianapolis, Jay. And as far as the iRacing Championship is concerned, that is strong.
It is. It's very, very close, and I've clicked the wrong graphic trying to bring it up on screen, so I'm bringing it up now. But after last week, seeing Marcel Fassbender extend his championship lead a little, but the difficult thing at the moment with the iRacing Championship is drop rounds are now starting to come into effect. So the points are going to shuffle around a fair bit in regards to who is where. That hasn't changed at all after last round. So championship positions have not changed. Just that championship gap has extended a little bit with Marcel Fassbender tiny little bit further ahead of Anthony Catt.
Yeah, and that gap now 133 points now up at the top of the championship is looking very, very comfortable at this point. So Fassbender on the right track. Tobias Saal will have a big challenge to hold on to that 3rd place, with Gronkowski, Pula, and Jacob Reed making that charge up from 9th position. All in the mix, all looking to try and gain those all-important iRacing Championship points. Today might be a little bit difficult to go and pick those up. SimSpeed Championship-wise, The door has been left wide open. A 10th place for Jacob Reed at Road America, shocking to say, has meant that the gap is down to 9 points at the top, with Marcel Fassbender in hot pursuit and Jordan Gronkowski just 21 points back in third position. Anthony Catt, still with an outside shot, is needing all three of those drivers to run into troubles to keep his hopes alive in terms of what he's looking for. Also a good scrap on for 5th position in the championship. Magalon we're not expecting to see back this season, so it'll be between Connor Paula, Walter Lux, Tobias Saal, and Kent Nielsen maybe, see who will sneak in and take that 5th place overall in the championship. But Jay, this Interlagos track is so brilliant.
It is amazing, isn't it? It's such a good track. We'll no doubt see some brilliant racing. We'll see some nasty racing. I just realised I've done that graphic wrong. With 71 laps, 306 kilometres in distance. Of course, DRS after lap 3, or the end of lap 2, start of lap 3. Tyre range, we're going to see a real mix. I don't think anyone knows what to expect in regards to tyres in this race. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Well, speak of range, here's qualifying. Marcel Fassbender puts it on pole position. A 110.081 will have Jordan Gronkowski alongside him for company at the front. The second row hoses Tobias Saal and Kent Nielsen, a great qualifying from him, up in 4th position. Jorge Martinez, nice to see him out there racing. He'll go from 5th with George van Rensburg, another great qualifying. He'll line up in 6th place. Row 4 houses Florian Kammeyer and Jason Green, exactly 1 second off the pace in 8th position, with Walter Lux in 9th and Paul O'Regan rounding out the top 10 of the grid. Doriano Ricciuti will start in 11th, with Thomas Knoll back there in 12th position, and shocks on row 7. Jacob Reed and Anthony Catt will have it all to do as they will look to try and charge through the field. So too will Connor Pooler. He was the last driver to set a representative lap time, with Nick Burke and Morgan Soam deciding not to qualify out there with their 2 minutes that they have available, or their 8 minutes they had available and 2 laps that they have. They've got 2 minutes to get themselves gridded up, and the front 2 rows have an uphill start here today with the way that the grid is formed. Those front 2 rows that you traditionally see on the grid boxes are not used here in iRacing. So it's a plateau for those in the middle of the grid and a downhill start for those at the back. So they'll be able to get a really nice launch on this very bumpy start to racing. Watch out for strategy being a key today in terms of who's on tyres. We've got 3 drivers on softs. Everybody else is on mediums here for this one. So who is going to be able to jump off and ready? Lights on here at Interlagos. We're going to get ourselves ready for 71 laps. Lights out here at Interlagos, and we are underway. It's a decent start by Marcel Fassbender as he looks to rocket up through the field here in the early stages into the start then of these massive important corners, and it looks like everybody has tiptoed their way through successfully down the center S, through the curve of the Sol. Single file at the front, a bit of 2 wide in the middle, as now Kammeyer and George van Rensburg look to scrap it out.
Yeah, really good clean start, isn't it? And Gucci and Walter Lux there side by side. Green, great start, as well as Jacob Reed. So Jacob Reed already gaining 3 spots, make that 4.
Another one, a massive dive down the inside there of Ferradura, the horseshoe corner, and that fantastically is showing Jacob Reed put himself in a poor position in qualifying. He's got work to do over this race. 1 driver nearer the back now is Nick Burke, so he's got a little bit of work to chase up, but there's Morgan Soam making great progress off the start. He's already through on Jason Green. He's had a monster start. Yeah,
great launch for him. He's already through and up quite a few positions. Jacob Reed complaining as well before the race start about how to set up the lap. He couldn't get the lap sorted and locked up into turn 1. Almost spun on his flying lap, so that's why he started so far back. Gronkowski applying pressure already without DRS into turn 1.
He's got a soft compound tyre. Marcel Fassbender's got a medium, and the positions are switching here time and again. They don't have the DRS here to make the move down here at the Ski de Lago just yet, but next lap They will. There are, though, drivers making moves like Jacob Reed, who's on the wrong side of Doriano Ricciuti as we focus on these drivers. Now here's the look. Ricciuti was able to defend it, but Jacob Reed knows he's got to try and defend these points. As it stands, Fassbender takes the SimSpeed Championship lead.
Yeah, and that'll be huge going in with 2 rounds to go. And 2 wildcard rounds, you would think, too. Not real-world venues. One of them was, no longer is. Belle Isle and Indianapolis are going to be very, very interesting races over the final 2 weeks of the championship. Jacob Reed really needs to pounce this week if he can. I think tyre strategy is probably the only way he can get himself back into the race. I mean, he's had a great start. Now he's got to work on strategy to get himself forward even more. DRS available next time by.
He's already 6 seconds off of the race lead after just 2 laps. And there is Jordan Gronkowski for the moment setting the fastest lap, which is taken away by Kent Nielsen then in the number 11 car in 4th position as he looks to try and close down. Tobias Saal in 3rd. There is the DRS open for Jordan Gronkowski, who makes a big lunge to the inside at lap 3 and takes the race lead away. Oh, no, he doesn't. He goes around. Jordan Gronkowski, title may be over for him.
Wow, and I was about to say, once again, starting on the soft tyre to do that alternate strategy that we've seen so much. Well, it's all for nothing now because he is in big trouble. He's going to have to limp it back to the pits. He's going to have to go to the hard tyre and try and limp it home from here. That's going to be real difficult.
I'll tell you what, that is a kick in the teeth for Jordan Gronkowski. Live by the soft tyre, die by the soft tyre, and it would have been the extra speed into the corner that would have caught him out.
Yeah, exactly right. The extra speed in. Probably then had to have a double dab of the brake mid-corner. Watch this here. A little bit of a spin. Actually, he's caught the AstroTurf on the exit. A little bit wider than where he would normally have been. So he's just drifted a bit too wide at exit. Now, Anthony Catt has also had an issue on that lap. So, as 5 pitches, Gronkowski has driven it in the pits. So there's middle of screen there. Catt. Oh, big slide. Keeps it out of the wall, though.
Good save by Anthony Catt. He's struggling here today in terms of finding any form of reasonable pace. But Gronkowski in the pits then, and it shuffles up your field. Fassbender leads, Saal in 2nd, Nielsen 3rd, and Martinez in 4th position at this moment in time. We focus on this race for 2nd and 3rd right now with Saal and Nielsen now set and poised as they head in towards the Pinarino corner. Down the hill, back up on the power, looking towards the Bico de Pato here, the sharpest corner on the circuit.
Yep, sharpest and slowest corner on the circuit, and then you get into the most flowing segment of the lap. Incredibly fast, sort of last corner. Not technically the last corner, but it's the last braking zone of the lap. Then you've got such a long, straight segment of road. Flat out segment of road.
Gronkowski's gone again.
Oh no. Comes Nielsen.
Down the inside and comfortably taking that position. Fassbender with the fastest lap of the race at 13.3. And just like that, through goes Kent now to chase down Marcel Fassbender. But Gronkowski, for a second time, he went back out on a soft tyre and immediately put it in the wall. And this is how easily, when it rains, it pours for Gronkowski. Up the hill. Drivers are getting caught out today by that section of track. Easterly winds at 13 Ks at a hot track at 41 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, it's probably deceptive conditions. This is side by side between Walter Lux and Connor Pooler and Morgan Soam, I should say. Deceptive because it's so cloudy. The track probably psychologically feels a little bit cooler, but it is very, very warm out on track. So drivers probably getting a little caught out by that. And saying that, when the sun comes out, it is incredibly sunny. So you're going to see mixed conditions throughout this race. Gronkowski back in the pits once again. Looks like he's going for another set of softs to try again.
Well, he's got to take a point away, and that point is the fastest lap bonus point, currently held by Marcel Fassbender. That will be on his mind. Here goes the look from Ricciuti. He's trying to get back here at Jacob Reed around the outside of turn 1. Finds that when he gets to the apex, Jacob Reed is unwilling to yield, and as such, Walter Lux around the outside of the Curva de Sol trying to get that move sorted, and now finds himself on the outside with the DRS heading into the Interlagos. Can he make it 3 corners now? He can go side by side. Answers no. Oh, huge wiggle on the Astro.
And that was the exact thing that caught out Gronkowski, what we just saw from Walter Lux, getting a little bit of wheel spin on the AstroTurf. Got to be prepared for it because it will absolutely unsettle the car, and it's instantaneous. You've got no preparation for it, got no signal that it's going to happen. You just have to be ready for it. Can confirm it looks like Jordan Gronkowski out of the car. He may be race done.
Yeah, I don't blame him in terms of his situation. This is a kick in the teeth, and he will know that his hopes at Interlagos have been all but dashed in 2 different categories as he now looks to try and gather things up for Belle Isle. But still got opportunities here. Marcel Fassbender trying to pull away. 2.2 seconds here to the good on that medium compound tyre. He is finding form when he needs it.
Yeah, he's been great in the second half of the season, hasn't he? Just been consistent, been able to gain positions, being able to drive away from the field, able to just be the consistent driver that we know he is. He hasn't been the fastest at every race, but those races he hasn't been able to win, he's been able to score as many points as he possibly can based on his pace. He's definitely outperformed. So that's what wins your championships, isn't it? It's not the races that you win, it's the races that you can't win, getting as many points as you can in those weeks.
Well, the key is he's only got 3 race wins this season, but in terms of second places, he's got 4 of them, and he's got a couple of third places. Sohm around the outside then, as Anthony Catt gets back into the mix. This is the race on for 11th place right now. Anthony Catt out of the points as it stands in the SimSpeed Championship, gets a lock-up from Sohm, and Catt, being the only real challenger to Marcel Fassbender in the iRacing Championship, is not going to be doing himself any favours as he makes a brilliant pass then up into 12th place. He's not doing himself any favours if he wants to gain on the points he's already scored in this championship, iRacing-wise.
Yeah, he needs to try and get away from these guys, doesn't he? He doesn't want to be caught out in this battle, but easier said than done. Nick Burke also starting to close in at the back of the group here on Thomas Knoll. The issue he's got is that Knoll also has DRS. Great to see some different names out in the race today too. One thing that I love about this series is that we see different drivers almost every week, and from all different nationalities as well. It's such a global championship, this one.
It really is. It's just in front. There's Anthony Catt through on Jason Green. That puts him up to 11th place now, and his chase continues. He's got Connor Pooler almost 3.5 seconds down the road at this point. So now Morgan Sohm looks behind at Thomas Knoll, and Nick Burke on the back as well is looking for his challenge through. Now, in terms of how many drivers we've seen over the course of this Friday night split, we've had 85 different drivers register a start.
Is that including the new drivers tonight?
No, it's not.
That'll be closer to 90. By the end of the season, we could get close to 100.
I think it'll be 86 with Jorge Martinez here tonight.
Yep. That's so cool to see how many we've had throughout the season. It's been a great championship, and disappointing that we've only got 2 rounds to go, but it's been so good, and we're going to see some great racing still to come. Florian Kammeier here, looking like he's got the pace to get past George Van Rensburg ahead in the pink and blue car, but again, double DRS is not strong enough with a driver with DRS.
You have to consider Florian Kammeier had probably his best round of the season last time out. George Van Rensburg is probably the driver with the pace that he's got most due for a big result. He's really improved over the last month or so.
Yep, definitely has. Van Rensburg's found some pace, hasn't he, over the last little while? Been great to watch his evolution as a driver over the last few months. Definitely found pace at the right time of the season. Great to see Martinez back in the car as well. Been a long time since we've seen Martinez out on track, but always love seeing him out there. He'll be a little disappointed he's as far back as he is, but he'll be loving he's got cars to battle with that have good pace as well.
Absolutely, and Jorge Martinez was the sort of driver that once upon a time was that driver who would consistently challenge for big wins and big results when it came to the open formulas and the way that they would drive about over the course of the season. Flying through the long left-hander at the Curva de Sol, and on the power now on the Reto Aposta towards Desquida de Lago. Still got drivers in group. Walter Lux and Jacob Reed have not given up their hopes of 4th position at this moment in time. Reed has just been quietly steadying himself and closing in 4/10 that last lap, half a second for Walter Lux that last lap.
Well, he also got DRS on that lap as well, so he was close enough at the activation point to actually get DRS down that back straight, but couldn't use it too much to his advantage. But he's got it down to 9/10 now, so he's going to get it on the front straight this time, and maybe able to close up enough to apply pressure to the back of Florian Camai by the end of next lap. So this 3-car fight is well and truly a 5-car battle now.
It is, and these are for the money positions, so to speak, in terms of this race. These drivers have all formed that pack, and they have to be ultra focused in terms of the way that they go through. Now, in terms of strategy here today, Jay, is this going to be a case where everyone's looking around that maybe a 2-stop strategy is probably the easiest one to concoct, or are we on a 1-stop?
Most drivers will look at 2 stops. The hard tyre is very, very hard here, so it's probably not a great race tyre to use, so we'll probably see very limited runs on the hard. Drivers that go to the hard might have found themselves in issues early on. But other than that, you'd be looking at medium, soft, or medium, soft. So guys that have started on soft, they'll probably go soft, medium, soft, which will mean that final 10, 12 laps, we're going to see an out-and-out sprint with everyone on the soft tyre. That's going to be cool.
Wonder if we can get a replay of what happened to Thomas Knoll in the number 12. He was having a battle with Morgan Soam and ended up dropping a couple positions down and the opening couple of corners on the lap. So it looks like he might have trundled off the circuit, which is so easy to do at turn 1 here at Interlagos. You can see here, looks for the move, jinks over to the outside, but on the brakes as he tries to turn in, he just can't get it slowed down, and he has to abandon ship through the grass. It's such a delayed apex through turn 1, Jay. Yeah,
it is. It's really delayed. It's really difficult as Jacob Reed up the inside, and I thought I said that at the end of that lap he'd be trying to challenge for the position. He's not only challenged, he's taken it away. Jacob Reed up into 6th. But yeah, that corner, that'll be heartbreaking too for Thomas Knoll, because he did a great job getting the overtake done. Puts his foot on the brake and the car just doesn't want to turn.
Look behind as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got an incredible race on here. Cat there with Pula and Ricciuti. And it's Ricciuti on the wrong side of Lady Luck here. Round the outside of Ferradura. He's been bitten once as Anthony Cat through here. He'll now have to try and get around the outside once again at the Larentina corner. And then through on the inside at the Pinarino. Brilliantly done. Cat now finds himself in the point. And that was all down to the fact that drivers were really scrapping out there. He was able to pull upwards of 1.5 seconds to make that pass.
Start-finish line, he wasn't even in the same camera shot. Have a look at this from the start of this sequence. How far back Conopula is to get this move done in the end. Side by side there. Sorry, as Anthony Cat that was. Conopula there on the inside. He's now lost 2 spots from that overtake sequence. How quickly he's closed up there, Anthony Cat. I can't believe how quick he got there.
Yeah, and then Pula, who got overtaken around the outside. Ricciuti got a wiggle on the outside of Desquida de Lago, which I think has been the buzzword of the day, the wiggle on the outside curb. And then around the outside, Anthony Cat. Oh, you have to tip your hat off. That is a money move that he was able to make there as the group here behind the ever-enlarging train that Jorge Martinez is starting to pull up. I'm sure there is a certain Italian somewhere who is very proud of this work.
Martinez made a tiny little error, and it's brought this group ever closer. And you can see Jacob Reed, as we said, he closed in and got that move done on Camire, and now he's right on the tail of George Van Rensburg. I feel like this is a move coming here for Jacob Reed. Really be able to get it done at turn 1. I must say the issue he's got, Van Rensburg has looked really quick down this straight, but have a look at the pace difference Jacob Reed's got. Is he going to throw it up the inside? No, backs out of it. Good idea. But he is looking very pacey at the moment is Jacob Reed.
Jacob Reed is 5 kilometers an hour quicker on the straight than George van Rensburg in DRS. That is crucial. I think George has gone for a higher downforce setup, which can work through the middling corners here, give you a little bit more confidence with the mechanical grip.
We see the difference between the two. They look the
Not
same to me.
much.
They look the same.
So it might just be your confidence in different areas of the car, not necessarily on package there, Jay, but maybe something underneath the car, sort of a ride height maybe that might be helping.
Yeah, exactly right. Ride height. Could even be tyre pressure. Could even be something as little as tyre pressure that's giving the confidence. Because it may not necessarily be that he's got more pace at the end of the straight. It's that he's got more pace at the exit and then can use it once DRS starts up and opens up. The other thing to consider as well, soft tyres probably going to last about 20 laps. So you're going to see Kent Nielsen in, Nick Burke in, Paulo Reagan in. Let's reverse engineer the race. If soft tyres last 20, you're going to stop twice. You're going to see all these guys on the medium stop around lap 30. They're all going to probably come in together.
Probably are. Little search there to the mirrors on Jorge Martinez. Not going to find that. Is the South African, George van Rensburg. So he will have to be patient and try and open up that move in a different way. Now, the key here is these drivers are losing about 8/10 of a second a lap to your race leader, Marcel Fassbender, who's out to a 5.6 second lead now here at the front of this field. There has also been a change. Kammeyer has lost the place now to Walter Lux, and he's been ceremoniously dropped by this entire group.
Struggling to keep to the back of it, isn't he, Walter Lux? So maybe he's just used too much tyre. Now found that cannot keep the pace up. Has he made an error? I can try and find out.
We've actually had our first taker into the pits. It's Paulo Reagan, who has come in and made that stop and is out and away again. Now, he out there in the number 6 car has gone to a set of soft compound tyres. So a very early stop and an aggressive stop at that as well by the 6. Now there's George van Rensburg. He's lost the place out now to Jacob Reed, who is up to 5th position now with that move, and he is vitally saving points in the SimSpeed Championship. Here comes the left to right from Walter Lux. Van Rensburg defends it then through the skid of the lager, but has he overshot the corner and left himself vulnerable on the run back up the hill, forcing an angle to the inside? Lux can't open it up.
Wow. Am I all of a sudden dropped to the way back to no man's land, and then all of a sudden he's back in the battle trying to get this move done. And now Van Rensburg makes a small error, and now he's under pressure again from Walter Lux. This is a cool little fight, this one.
It is, because down the hill through the very committed Mahulo corner, they're going to start losing that scrap. Now, here is the SimSpeed replay. This is how quickly you can find a move and an overtake to match as well. On the brakes, down the inside, easy as you like. And you have to give the space there through the opening corner. And Van Rensburg, actually leaving so much space, left himself vulnerable.
Yeah, well, I don't think he could get across. He's going to lose another spot here. So Van Rensburg definitely is not trimmed out down this straight comparison, because as you said before, Jacob Reed was a lot faster. Now Walter Lux just drove past him like it was absolutely nothing. See if Van Rensburg can close it back down the straight here, but I think the only difference between the pace here is DRS and DRS alone. Well, that is a nice move around the outside. Well done. Oh, Lux!
Brilliantly. Yeah, Lux having a big moment too. That brings Florian Kammeyer back into play in the Mercedes, which is given some papaya orange feel, McLaren-style colours there. Trying to find the pass, still not there. Still can't find it. And all of a sudden, wake up, because there's Anthony Catt who's slowly clawing his way back to that group. And now Martinez finds himself then in a little bit of a pickle here with Jacob Reed. Now masquerading his way through.
On board with Walter Lux, you see Van Rensburg there, and oh, that could have ended in disaster.
Very much could have done, and it probably should have done as well. Here comes the look then on the race for 4th position. And Martinez so far out of the way, he almost buried it in the wall in the outside of Archibancadas. So just like that, there's the chase behind, though. It was looking interesting there. Kamaya backing out of it. Volta Lux through, but a little bit deep here. George Van Rensburg's got a great chance.
What's this doing while these three are playing around? Well, it's meaning that the gap between 4th and 5th is absolutely broken away, and Anthony Cat is closing. Van Rensburg get it done again? Yes.
Easy for George Van Rensburg. More mistakes. Kamaya forcing her way to the inside. Tyres almost clattering together there up towards the right of Ferradura. Cat now will try and sneak and slither his way on the inside, and he very much manages that. Easy as you like. Cat, very much the Pink Panther at this moment in time.
It's been a brilliant race so far, hasn't it? I mean, we're 17 laps in, and we've seen as much action in these 17 and a half laps than what we've seen in the entire season so far, I feel. It's been incredible. We haven't had a chance to take our breath. We've still got another 50 plus laps of this sort of stuff to go on as in comes Tobias Sale. This is interesting.
George Van Rensburg too. So we got a number of drivers in the pits as Cat makes the pass and Volta Lux. So in they go, and now where do you go at this point? Sale in, George Van Rensburg in. They are going to be your first real takers to see who's on what. Cat, by the way, is through now on Volta Lux for position, and Kamaz just followed through in suit as they both died through here at Desquita de Lago. Kamaya runs wide, so Lux might have another opportunity here to make this pass up the hill, but he's on the wrong side of the road to make that happen, and Kamaya holds station.
Nice job. Florian Kamaya. I'll tell you what, Connor Pooler's not far away from closing in on these guys too. Last lap by was 1.2 seconds faster, so give him a couple of laps of these two fighting and he'll be there as well. Interesting thing is who will come into the pits next. Oh no, there's been an incident back in the field though. Nick Burke and Morgan Soame have come together.
He's not even surprised, says Nick Burke. He is not even surprised. Morgan Soame there with the contact as he was looking for the inside at a very, very committed corner on the circuit. We'll take another look at it here. Down the inside, nope, never on.
That wasn't a move that should have been made there or attempted to be made. But yeah, disappointing end to that battle.
Now, part of what was released in the update in terms of the development notes from, of course, Greg Hill, is the fact that for races like these, Nimcross is going to be very busy because he has the ability, as Volta Lux makes the move down the, Connor Pooler makes the move down the inside of Florian Kamaya, he will now have the ability to retroactively disqualify drivers from the race in terms of a protest, and there is Kamaya taking a very busy route.
That's why he lost so much ground and then found himself in the battle with Connor Pooler, so that explains a fair bit. Why he's now lost that spot. Oh, yeah, I think that's going to be a brilliant addition to iRacing, and looking forward to seeing how that does play out, because I think that may change the way a few drivers tackle these races. The fact that they can actually get disqualified, which will then obviously impact iRating and impact other things as well. So it's a very, very cool addition. Kent Nielsen in from second. No real surprise. We said about 20 laps on the softs. A lap 20.
Well, a number of drivers on the mediums have come in and switched on to the soft tyres, so it looks like those softs are doing well. Now, Kent Nielsen will get out and away on the mediums. He will burn that tyre off now, and I wonder whether he wants to try and take that about 30 laps to get that one going. In sim time, heading towards 3 o'clock, that's a mistake for Jason Green. He'll drop a couple places there through that section, so he very much was under that, I would say, Kosh. I think he actually had contact there with Doriano Ricciuti.
A very, very close battle either way. Was there contact? Yes.
You can't help but feel that Tobias Sale was very much impeded by that, and that's cost him the chance of leapfrogging in the stop Kent Nielsen.
Yeah, Tobias Sale's missed out there, hasn't he? Remember, he pitted a couple of laps earlier. He's on the softer tyre now, though. that could help him with Kent Nielsen. But one thing we know about Kent is he's going to fight and fight hard for this position. Graphic on screen there is the weather temperature over the last little while. It has fluctuated quite a bit throughout this race, hasn't it? Those clouds have definitely played an impact on the track temperature.
They have. In comes Jacob Reed and Connor Pooler into the pits. Now, this pit lane is interesting because it is the old style pit lane here around this circuit, which means it is lightning fast and it's so easy to speed.
Yep, so easy to speed, but it is also so easy to gain a bunch of time if you absolutely nail it. Jacob Reed out and away. As you can see at the top of the screen there, George van Rensburg gets the fastest lap of the race. Kent Nielsen and Tobias Saal sort of felt like this was going to be the battle to watch after the pit stops. I feel even stronger about that now. Saal had a look. Nielsen defended the position. Saal thought, no point right now, I'm going to wait.
And the only the only 5 drivers yet to pit are 1 through 5 at this moment in time in the race. On the brakes then, through the Pico de Pato, and Kent Nielsen's going to have to get his blocking boots out. He's done so many times this season to the chagrin of many other drivers out there. In front of him, though, will be Florian Kamai. Now, this might be the saving grace this lap for Kent Nielsen in terms of the way he can defend.
Yes, although you notice one thing, well, 2 things. He's got into the pit, so that doesn't help. And also no DRS for Kent Nielsen. He wasn't quite close enough at the activation point. Tobias Saal, though, not fast enough to be able to get the move done. Feel like he is close enough now. They're on board.
Yeah, and another fastest lap for George van Rensburg as he crosses the line of 13.1. He's got a car that's a rocket ship in clean air. Saal to the outside, here in towards the skid of the Largo, and a relatively tame defence considerably by Kent Nielsen compared to what we've seen over the course of this season. That was easy pickings there for Saal.
Yeah, it wasn't even defended at all, wasn't it? He just knew that he was going to lose the spot, so there's no point fighting it. Which is uncharacteristic from Kent Nielsen, but maybe that means that he's realised the tyres aren't there to fight with at the moment. So let's conserve and come back at the end of the stint when the tyres by Saal are starting to go away. Especially now that we know that Tobias Saal is going to have to do extra laps on these softs over everyone else.
He is, and those extra laps are going to be really important because how much are his tyres going to burn away in the final stage? Now, this is a look then at Jason Green going through the opening corner, runs a little bit wide, just about keeps it on the dry stuff, the terra firma, and he keeps himself going. Now, I say dry stuff because iRacing, as Jacob Reed sets a fast lap of the race and joins the back of this battle now, so it's very much in this for 2nd and 3rd overall. You can say 4th as well. iRacing releasing a little bit more of an understanding on their rain system, which is probably not due over in December, but probably March sounds like it's most likely to try and turn up. But what they've called the Tempest system.
Yeah, and another part of the rain system will be that it will be released car by car, so it'll be a slow and steady release, but I think that's going to be a good addition too. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it does play out. It's going to be very, very interesting thing. I think a lot of drivers are going to realise that their ability is nowhere near as good as they had hoped on the rain, and I think it'll be a really cool addition to official sessions when you rock up, go, oh no, it is actually raining. How cool would this race be if 3/4 of the way through the rain came?
Sounds to me like 2008 called, and that is very much the case in terms of what this track can be, in terms of how it goes. Reed, another fastest lap, as he is right there now
12s.
with Kent Nielsen, and that is the first time really into the 12s at 12.5.
Quick, and you can see what that's done. Green lights on the dash. New to the series, that means that he has DRS available. Forward lights means that the rear wing is actually open. So those 4 lights on the dash, that means that the rear wing has opened up. It gives them about, at some tracks, up to 12 or 15 kilometers an hour. Around here, about 8 or 9.
Yeah, and you certainly sense that 8 or 9 kilometers an hour on a straight, it's an aid that's there to help. And that's why sometimes you find very weird places for the drag reduction system lines, because it's not there to give you the overtake as a guarantee. It's there to get you alongside so that you have to do the rest of the job.
Yeah, and at some tracks it's in the perfect position to do that. Other tracks it just opens it up and makes it way too easy. But I think at this track here, it's really, really well done. Because the DRS doesn't open till 3/4 of the way down the straight. You're already nearly at top speed when the DRS flap opens, so it does give that little bit of a boost to give you that spot in the braking zone. Anthony Catt has come in, so that's why you see everyone shuffle up the timing sheet. Come in and gone to the soft tyre, so it leaves us only with 4 cars out on track with mediums. 2 of those drivers started on those tyres.
Yeah, 2 of those yet to pit. Marcel Fassbender, the number 3, and the number 1, Jorge Martinez, who is also still due to come in and make that stop. Cat back out and away in 7th position, about 5 seconds down on George Van Rensburg, but Fassbender's still been running in the mid to high 113s. An incredible run of pace that he's had so far, and he's looking to stretch out that medium tyre as much as he possibly can, because it gives him 2 very aggressive stints then on the soft compound to go through. Martinez is also looking at this probably in the right way, knowing that Jacob Reed behind, when he's pushed to, can make that soft tyre last pretty much an age eternum.
Comes Martinez, you can see there, that's the aggressive pit entry. Did he pull it up? Yes.
Yes.
Was waiting for that black flag to appear, but it never did, thankfully for him. Gasol and Reed, Nielsen all go through. Reed with another fastest lap of the race.
And now all over the back of Tobias Saal. This is for 2nd position, not just on the road, but this also in terms of the race with everyone sat and ready to the inside. Jacob Reed is driving like someone else who once had that livery on around this circuit, who drove from the back of the field to 3rd in a sprint race. He is Hamilton-esque at this moment as the Worcester man is starting to really ratchet up.
Yep, he's pushing and pushing hard, but pushing at the right time and in the right places. Doing a brilliant job of gaining ground throughout this race. Now, interesting to note for Martinez. Martinez actually took a front wing during that pit stop, so 8.5 second stop. Compare that to everyone else's between 3 and 4 seconds. Lost him a fair bit of ground. He's put him behind Walter Lux.
So he's got a lot to do to get himself back up through. But you would argue then with Jorge Martinez that his ability to hold on with a little bit of damage to the front wing, he'll be on rails trying to get back up through this field. So everybody watch out as far as it goes. 27 seconds the margin is at the front. You'd feel that Marcel Fassbender isn't going to be too long now before he dives in. Otherwise, he might cede the race lead entirely back to Jacob Reed, which is something we didn't expect after he qualified 13th on the grid.
Yeah, or last lap by, what's that, 7/10 of a second, thereabouts. So he's lost a fair bit of ground over Jacob Reed, but one thing to note is Jacob Reed is pushing incredibly hard. You can tell that Marcel Fassbender is in cruise mode, isn't he? He's not in push mode at all.
Well, he's actually in pit mode at this point. Marcel Fassbender, your race leader, is down in on the pits as we take a look at Jorge Martinez there. Through the opening corner. How has he kept that out of the barriers, Jay?
When you're very, very skilled, you can keep it out of the barriers. When you're as useless as you and I, Sperry, that would be instant race-ending incident. Putting it in the wall, but well done from Martinez to hold on. No surprise to see Marcel Fassbender out on a set of softs.
Yeah, and away again he goes with a very comfortable margin at the front of this field. And because he has better tyres than everyone else, he can now launch into trying to take that fastest lap bonus point away, which will indicate a 2-point swing as it stands. Here's another look at what happened to Jorge Martinez as he went through too heavy over the inside curb, full opposite lock, and somehow the car responds and gets to turning round right. Brilliant save, but that 2-point swing, Jay, is so crucial because right now Jacob Reed's fast lap bonus point right now is only losing 6 points today, it would mean that his lead in the championship will go from 9 to 3. If Marcel Fassbender can take that fastest lap bonus point away, the gap goes from 3 points to a point.
Yeah, 1 point with 2 rounds to go at 2 relatively unknowns is going to be absolutely fantastic to watch. It's going to be some great racing at the next 2 rounds. We remember Long Beach was wild, wacky, crazy. What other superlatives can we add to it? It was incredible.
Inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Yep. Yeah, I think he was definitely excited about the race, wasn't he? Every time you look at one of them, he's always excited. But I feel like the nature of Belle Isle will probably make it even more crazy, as hard as it is to believe, even more crazy than what we saw at Long Beach. I think it's going to be one of the most wild races we will see in the history of this series, whether it be the tour or the normal series. I think it's going to be chaos, mayhem. Just better make sure I've got the replay machine ready.
You also have to remember, Jay, that at Long Beach, Marcel Fassbender won that, in theory, by a lap.
Yes. Yeah, that was crazy as well. That was not only the incidents and the racing that was crazy, the lead that Fassbender had was... I think that race probably changed Jordan Gronkowski's thinking around strategy and things like that, didn't it? Because after that point was when we saw Gronkowski start on the soft tyre and try and blitz away at the front of the field. So we may see something different here. Here comes Cat.
There goes Cat. Straight through on the inside, jumping up into 5th position. And there is a fastest lap bonus point to go along with it. The consistency of Cat here is keeping himself in the iRacing Championship hunt.
Yep. He's just there, isn't he? He's not quite at the front, but he's there close enough to get points almost every round. Well, every round he does get points, doesn't he? He's had so many podiums without getting a second or a first. But thirds and fourths are enough. If you can get third or fourth in every race, that's usually enough to get you a top 2 in a championship, isn't it?
It very much is. In our SimSpeed Championship, he finds himself in 4th, and you consider the fact that he's not necessarily, over the last 6 rounds, had the most amazing form. Yes, he's had 2 4ths and a 5th, but he's also had 2 8ths and a 9th, which might be struggling as Marcel Fassbender turns the championship swing from 3 points to 2 points to now 1 point.
Oh my, 1 point with 2 rounds to go is going to be absolutely amazing. Fassbender's just got to hold on at this point. You'd feel like that fastest lap will come into the 11s at the next pit stop. Here comes Walter Lux looking now on George Van Rensburg. Something with Van Rensburg's setup is just really hampering him down the straights.
I'll tell you what, George Van Rensburg got so close there to the pit retaining wall that iRacing thought he clipped it.
I just noticed that myself, actually. I just went back and had a little look at... gave a bit of prediction model that he'd clipped the back tyre into the wall and realised, hang on, he hasn't. Shows how close these guys are to the limit. How quickly it can go wrong and does go wrong in this series, but the fact that they can do it so consistently for so many laps still amazes me to this day, how good these...
You have to be on a limit, and a lot of people talk about how they don't like the open wheel style of racing, especially with the faster cars, as Fassbender sets another fastest lap, and now breaks the 11s, 1:11.9 with that up the hill. Van Rensburg looks back at Walter Lux. I say to those who do not like the open wheel, who think it's too difficult, good. That's what open wheel formula is supposed to be, the ultimate challenge of driving.
It's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy. Just because you've got a wing on doesn't mean that it's supposed to make it easier for you. It's just a different challenge, isn't it? I think one thing, though, that we've seen with the new Super Formula being released to iRacing's Van Rensburg coming back here aggressively.
Story of Lux's day makes the pass from Van Rensburg, but Van Rensburg continues to get him back.
Rensburg runs very wide there, though. almost lost the spot back. What I was about to say is that I think the Super Formula being released on iRacing has brought a lot of love back to open wheelers as well. It's been very, very well received. Liam Lawson is very, very heavily involved in the build of that car within iRacing, which is very, very cool. Shout out to our Kiwi friends. So yeah, it's great that there is some love for open wheel racing within iRacing again, not just the niche that it always has been. Super Formula seems to be bringing it back to the masses.
And that's such a huge acquisition, and it's part of the partnership with Toyota that allowed the Super Formulas to come through. You consider that Super Formula, we thought that forever and a day was going to be locked behind Gran Turismo.
Yep. We thought that was probably a category we would never get. We've seen lots of different categories that we thought we would never ever get to iRacing. All of a sudden, bang, there it is. The association now with the FIA with the Formula 4 has been really, really cool as well. So lots of real world motorsport series are now getting behind iRacing as well. I know you're over in the UK, you guys have got a lot of stuff with Motorsport Great Britain. We've got a lot of stuff happening with Motorsport Australia over here in Australia. So obviously IMSA and NASCAR, very, very huge involvement as well. And then partnerships like this with Mercedes Formula 1 team to bring this car to iRacing just shows how far this has come over the last 12 years since I've been on here, and it's a totally different place.
Everyone's jumping on the wagon now because they see just how important this all is, and we've been shadowing this battle for a couple laps. We're going to have to jump at some point up to what's going on for third as well, because Kent Nielsen has been caught, for fourth, by Anthony Catt. Here comes Volta Lux. He looks again, this time to the outside, to try and make this move. This time he comfortably gets that sorted, but George falls back into line, and now will look to try and really rush forward. But this time, I think that gap might be a little bit too large.
I think he's okay this time. Got
Switch for fourth.
Yep, it's Catt through on Nielsen as well. So Kent Nielsen, realising that his tyres are not same level, just has to back out and give up spots for now, as much as he doesn't like doing that. Good to see that he has thought about those positions and realised, hey, we might as well give them up. No point fighting. I can come back later on when my tyres are more superior to these guys. Nice move from Anthony Catt. Just got a great run out of the S's, and through he goes.
A simple move. All things considered, it was very, very simple. Now, Jorge Martinez has his eyes firmly affixed here on 8th place, and Connor Pooler. This is really the first chance that we've seen Martinez go out there on the offensive. He's driven very defensively through the first half of this race, and he's got another half of the race now to try and make something up.
He's going to really pull a rabbit out of the hat now, doesn't he, to get these spots back that he lost from that mistake and the longer pit stop. But got some great pace down the straight here, not quite close enough to get the move done, but you'd feel it's going to happen in the next area soon, although he has run a little bit wide. Applying pressure to Connor Pooler. Now he's forced off line. Going to get it done. But
Trying to gather it back now.
Yep.
And this is where the DRS comes in. So now, Jay, here comes the pass, and that is so simple. Connor Pooler had to give him the room there through the second part. I argue he didn't. I think Connor Pooler got spooked by the fact that he would have had the spotter in the ear going, got a car in the ear inside. He still had the space. There was just a slight overlap, front wing to rear wing.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit scared and nervous about what was going on there too. In the end, all made it through the corner. Now Connor Pooler can try and get this spot back, but I don't think he's got the pace to be able to do it. Martinez now has got to work really, really hard to get another spot back. He's 5 seconds back. Anthony Catt is flying at the moment, isn't he?
Well, he's going to see in the pits now a dive for Tobias Saal. So that a very quick run on
17 laps.
Top pound tyres. 17 laps only. You think he's 3-stopping?
I did see in one of the early races someone did do a 3-stop, but see how a 3-stop would work. He's going to another set of stops, so he's going to have to 3-stop.
It's a 3-stop.
Has to. I guess the positive around that is it's such a short pit lane, there's such a fast entry and fast exit that you don't lose as much time as you do at laps. I guess that's the way he's looking at it. Might as well pit an extra time rather than limp around on tyres that aren't fun to drive.
I'll tell you what, that might be, for Tobias Saul, a very bold call in terms of this race. Speaking of bold calls, there is your race leader, Marcel Fassbender. He is having an absolute worldie of a race, and De Marcel is finding the form when he needs it the most. He has just put Paul O'Regan 1 lap down, and he will start now the lapping process in this race. Marcel Fassbender is absolutely in a class of his own, and it's so rare to say that when you've got a pro stripe like Jacob Reed in the field.
Yeah, we've got Jacob Reed and Jorge Martinez in here, and still in a world of his own, isn't he? He's unmatched at the moment in this race. George Van Rensburg comes in for another pit stop, so yeah, it looks like the 3-stop strategy is definitely plausible for a few of these guys. I'm very, very surprised that we're seeing 3 stops, but liking that we're seeing a mix-up as well.
Well, these temperatures are really changing, and that could be playing a huge factor into how these drivers are going about. It's been up as high as about 44 degrees centigrade in terms of Celsius in this race. Now down to 39 Celsius here. So it really is rising and falling as this race goes on, because that cloud cover is really playing havoc. And traditionally, when it comes to a series like this, Interlagos has the biggest fluctuations in terms of track temperature.
Oh, you can see that on the graphic there, can't you? Look at that wavy line. Temperature has chopped and changed so much. It's been as low as 37 Celsius. It's been at high as 45. So it's been a real mix in regards to the temperature. And it's going to mix up as we get further and deeper into this race, as we've just hit 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
In theory, it only gets colder from here.
Yeah, well, it should. But yeah, I mean, the sun can definitely still radiate down at 3 o'clock. Brilliant weather, knowing that it's fairly similar to our weather here in Australia, that sometimes it doesn't get till its hottest point until 5 or 6 in the afternoon as Jason Green comes in. Nearly said
Very
Jacob Reed.
Confusing that. Reed and Green, both there, both starting with the letter J, both into the pits. Race on at the moment, though, for 9th and 10th is catching my eye. Florian Kammeyer has been caught by Doriano Ricciuti. So the number 17, very lucky to get into this race. It's split 3 times here, so there's a couple drivers who are going to feel a little bit hard done by that they didn't quite get into top split action today. I'm going to find out that, okay, Doriano Ricciuti, you're going to have to try and prove your pace here. Inside the top 10, definitely doing that.
Yeah, he's doing a very, very good job, isn't he? He's keeping it consistent, which is much better than what some other drivers have done in this race. It's been a very, very difficult race for some. Very, very easy for others. But I think maintaining consistency, you don't have to necessarily go out there and make overtakes each and every lap. You don't have to be applying pressure every lap. You can be consistent. The amount of mistakes we've seen from accomplished drivers have meant that you're going to gain spots. In he comes. Such a cool pit entry.
It is 32 laps to go for Doriano Ricciuti, and you might be able to argue a medium tyre from here gets you home and dry. So that might be something on the docket. Otherwise, it's 2.16, so it'll be 2.16s for Doriano Ricciuti in terms of his pit stop. He'll go to a 3-stop strategy to get himself home and dry. Fassbender now puts Morgan Sohm 1 lap down in this race and is continuing on. That gap extending out. It's now 18 seconds here in this race to Jacob Reed. And Jacob Reed will feel like, well, yeah, I'm down 18 seconds, but you have to consider I'm not a specialist in this car anymore. I'm spending every single week trying to get pace in the Grand Prix Racing iRacing series. Not only am I trying to do that, but I'm trying to get these results. Yes, they're hampering me, but I'm still second.
100%. It's the fact that he's still got as much pace as he does when his focus is 100% on a different car is still incredible to me. The fact that he's still so quick and so consistent when he's basically getting in here for a bit of relaxation and a bit of fun, as opposed to driving the Dallara IR01 non-stop for World Championship glory. Very, very cool to see. George Van Rensburg, now it's his time to attack.
Very much is. It's been a long stop for Paul O'Regan, by the way. It's a 40-second pit stop, so I think he got caught speeding down the lane there. Not necessarily at the markers, but on the lane. He might have forgotten to put the pit limiter on.
I would say that would be the case as Morgan Sohm now comes in. 21 laps on his soft tyres, and he'll get another set of softs. Away he goes. Marcel Fassbender will continue on for another 10 or so laps, so he'll get that 20-odd lap run right at the end. Jacob Reed might have to come in, run something alternate here. He's got 20 laps now on his tyres, or this is his 20th lap on these tyres. Wouldn't want to come in now and then force yourself to come in with 10, 12 to go, would you?
Well, I think Jacob Reed's the last person who you'd expect from that after his heroics on the soft tyre at Road America, Jay.
Yep, that was an incredible stint, and I think even he was surprised that they lasted as long as they did. There was lots of chatter. I don't know if you saw it. Lots of chatter about how to make the soft tyre work at Road. Really an interesting tyre that lots of drivers were struggling with. Tobias Saal on a puller just have a change of position. Green and Thomas Knoll also changed position down the front straight. This just all happened all at once.
It has, and that really for Conor Pooler was I will let you have that. There's no reason for me to fight you. For Thomas Knoll and Jason Green, it's nice to see Jason Green scrapping back right in front of your race leader. So here's a little look, though, at a little bit of something else out there on circuit. Round you go. Number 17, Doriano Ricciuti there, potentially, who found himself in the little bit of the mixer.
And just after I say that he's been really, really consistent, he goes and loops it around on new tyres. So, sorry for the commentator's curse on that one, but it's, yeah. That's how the commentator's curse works, isn't it? It's always a given. We are both very good at it.
At some point. There is Marcel Fassbender, your race leader. De Marcel on an absolute tear. Now looking to try and put a lap down here on Thomas Knoll. Here as he's about to start lap 44 here of 71 around the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache here with the reams of virtual fans over in the grandstands on the right-hand side. It's been a case of Marcel Fassbender putting in the time and effort to get this done, and a driver like him has really had to work to find these results when you consider that in the middle of the season, from about the Hungaroring over to Suzuka, he was struggling for results. The only saving grace to him was a second at Monza.
Yep, he just wasn't able to find any consistency at all, was he? Just really inconsistent results. And if there was any luck to happen at the racetrack, it was bad luck. There was no good coming at all. So you'll be glad to see that black cat that he walked in front of while going under a ladder hasn't affected him for the whole season, just for a few rounds. Yeah, maybe instead of 7 years bad luck, it was 7 rounds bad luck.
Yeah, I think that's about fair, actually, in terms of the way that he's been going about his season. So some wonderful work being constructed by him over the course of this race. The positions have been chopping and changing all about this field, with drivers looking at where do they need to be on their final strategy. Kent Nielsen is one who I think is very interesting at this moment in time in 4th place, because he's only got about a second and a half here to Walter Lux, who's there in 5th. And Kent Nielsen knows he's still got an outside shot in the SimSpeed Championship of picking 5th up overall. If he can hold on this stint for maybe about, I would say, 4 or 5 more laps, he is right in queue to race for 4th place on a soft tyre at the end.
Yep, I agree. And that'll bring him up level with Walter Lux as well. The issue that Walter Lux is going to have is that he's on an older soft tyre. Go back to this battle between Marquez and Saal. Marquez on 17, now 18 lap old tyres. Saal on 8 lap old tyres. So pretty noticeable difference in tyre performance and tyre life. You would think that's why Saal should get this.
Saal looking to try and open up this move here. Has himself then the DRS, and this might be plain sailing. He'll have to look to the
Maybe
inside
not
to make this happen, but he's not got the angle here, and he very much chalks himself up into a little bit of an issue there, understeering through to Skida de Lago, very much worried about tangling with the car in front.
Just worried that he was going to interlock wheels there, and decided I might as well wait one more lap. Better to wait one lap than end up trying something and putting it in the fence. That is the right way to go about things. We've seen too many times throughout this season, and not just this season, every single series within iRacing, someone decide now is the right time to overtake rather than waiting for a slightly better opportunity, which will come. One of the most heartbreaking things about iRacing too.
They absolutely are, and it might also be down to who's got great pace when it comes to a straight line. It's all right when you go out there in terms of the philosophy of driving. I think everyone sort of understands, or is starting to learn and understand, that higher downforce is better for a one-lap run, but lower downforce is better for a long run because it leaves you less likely to overtake, since in comes Connor Pooler.
Again, Marquez just able to get the run out of the center S, and Sal can't take advantage of it, so Pooler back out on another set of softs. As expected, we haven't seen a single hard tyre throughout this race as well, which I think is cool.
I think he's very cool there. Right on the inside curve goes Sal. I think he's very, very desperate to find his pass, and he is not getting it, and I think he's going to get bottled up and frustrated, and that's where the mistakes will start to come into play. In comes Jacob Reed then from second position to make his final stop of the race with 25 laps to go, Jay.
Yep, 25 to go. So he's done 25 on that stint. He's got 25 more on the next set of tyres. That Marquez coming in? Yes, Marquez is in as well. So Walter Lux also in the lane. Jacob Reed will come out in fourth position. Got to punch in as many fast laps as he can now, Jacob Reed. But the other side of that is he's got to try and conserve the tyres and make sure they'll last that 25 laps with pace.
Well, he's got to try and take the fastest lap bonus point away somehow, and that is the key for his SimSpeed Championship. He comes into the iRacing Championship 9th overall because he has 6 missing rounds in the Championship. It was a late call for him to jump in, just have some fun, see how many laps he could get out of it and how many races he could do. And he pretty much walked his way into championship contention. Now, this is Marquez leaving the pits here. Oh, and over the curb, he broadsides it. Yep,
that's not a spot that you want to loop the car around, but sorry, Jorge, I saw you do it and I had to bring that up on screen because it is interesting that Marquez has had issues after both pit stops. Sure, slightly different in how they've happened, but he's had spins both times he's left the pit lane, one full lap after and one literally leaving the lane. So having a bit of issues on the colder tyres.
It's a kick in the teeth, has to be said, for Jorge Marquez. He knows how crucial it is to find that form, and on his day he can be up there racing Fassbender and Cat and Reed and all these drivers. He has the skill to do so. The issue that he is running into and he is finding is, I think, a bit of race rust.
Yep, very much potentially is the case. Florian Kamaya comes in. So who are we still waiting on? We're still waiting on Fassbender, Cat, Nielsen, Sal, and Noel. And Van Rensburg will have to come in again as well. Maybe Jason Green.
Maybe Jason Green. So there are still drivers there who are looking to pit, and that might shuffle up the order towards the end. 26.7 seconds. Now the margin at the front. There is Anthony Cat in second position. And you can't say too much wrong about Anthony Cat's drive here today. It has been exactly what he has wanted out of it. He's currently up 12 places from 14th. The drivers who started 13th and 14th on the grid are going to end up today here with second and third as Ken Nielsen pits.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the entry list and you would write down who you would think would be 1, 2, 3, they would be the 3 that you'd write down. But when you looked at qualifying, you thought, well, hang on, I've got this completely wrong. Somehow they've managed to get themselves up through the field and drive very, very consistent. As no surprise, Kent Nielsen out on softs. We'll also see Paul O'Regan and Thomas Knoll come to softs when they come back in. Yeah, this is turned into a bizarre race, but in the same breath, how we would expect the results to semi-look. It's taken a lot more effort to get to how it has.
Yeah, and that effort, I think, is really crucial. Thomas Knoll into the pits then and making his pit stop. He will drive down to garage number 16 to try and make his pit stop, as Anthony Catt from second will come into the pits and move on to what is a final soft compound tyre to make his strategy known.
A rejoin just behind Jacob Reed, who is about to come on by and set fastest lap of the race. 4-second stop for Catt. Nice pit stop, but Anthony Catt, his current fastest lap is a 12.2.
Oh, this is a big race off the pits.
Nice Saul,
who's going to leapfrog him. But the key here is that Saul is going to be on a lot older tyres here. So he's jumped back ahead here of Anthony Catt. But Catt, he's going to need maybe a lap or so to get those tyres into its operating window. And then when they find themselves in the optimum, they can now go and start to charge. In comes your race leader, Marcel Fassbender. And he knows he's got a free pit stop here.
Well, I was about to say, in regards to this battle here between Saul and Catt, Catt doesn't even have to make the move, remembering that twice Saul will almost definitely have to come in for another set of tyres. So, yeah, you can just sit back and cruise. He's got a fair bit of ground behind to Van Rensburg, who also needs to come in and make another stop. So, yeah, he's got a fair bit of ground ahead and behind as Anthony Catt. Saul is technically not in the same race as him at the moment.
Well, at the moment, they share the same piece of track, and this is for position, so you can argue they absolutely do. Here comes Anthony Catt then, a whistle-stop tour in his race behind Tobias Saul. He will breeze on through and rightfully reclaim that third-place position as he sits just 6 seconds back of Jacob Reed.
Will he be able to close up to Jacob Reed at the end, remembering that Reed's going to have to do 25 laps on these tyres. Catt will only have to do 22. And, I mean, they're probably the two best tyre conservers in the field, though, so this is going to be interesting. One little brake lock-up could be enough for Jacob Reed to lose that group.
Very much could be. And so every single second that you look, and it's now 5 point something out there as we've got more drivers jumping in. This is Doriano Ricciuti. Then the Italian jumping into the pits.
11 laps on those tyres. Surprises me.
That's an indication that we got the strategy wrong. Going to have to dive in and get one more out of it. So he will fall back to 12th position and realise could have been a top 10 if the strategy was correct.
And he's too far back to get spots unless someone has some misfortune, which we never ever hope for, but there's always a possibility at this track. 20 to go. And we're looking at 1, 2, maybe 3 more pit stops still left to go. Saul, Van Rensburg, and maybe Jason Green left to pit. Although Reagan will probably pit. He doesn't need to, but he probably will to come and get off those soft tyres. Get onto soft tyres.
Thomas Nolan, Doriano Ricciuti having a bit of a scrap then with Ricciuti just coming out of the pit. Noel was looking around the outside at the Laranjina and very much overcooked his entry into it.
Thomas Knowles had a bit of a unfortunate race, hasn't he? He's just not been able to find anything in this one. He's had a lot of misfortune, hasn't been able to find enough pace for the car, and thought about a move, ran out of road, and then all of a sudden, hang on, there is room. No, there's not. Had to back out of it again, as you said.
Yeah, and that's so easy to do around the Laranjina section of the track, because it's a section of track you can definitely attack on that inside. It pays to be over that inside curb. But on the outside, you're trying to run a little bit of banking, have that chance. Here comes the look then. It'll be around the outside at the skid of the Lago. But Ricciuti keeps his foot in and says, you've got no drive. You've got no rhyme and reason. Tyres in the grass. Oh, my word. That was almighty in terms of a stop.
Who said it doesn't matter when you're fighting back in the pack? It definitely matters by the looks of this battle. And Morgan's home just sitting there like, what are you doing, guys? Don't get involved too much because I don't want to make contact with you. This is a cool fight.
It's a really cool fight. And this is for 12th, 13th and 14th in this race. All these drivers are 1 lap down. as things stand, and they are using everything they've got. Fastbender once again reaffirms his claim that the championship should be 1 point in the SimSpeed realm going out of tonight and in towards the circuit of Detroit Belle Isle. A 1:11.308 is legendary.
That's an incredible time, incredible lap, and he's only going to get faster, you would feel, as the fuel drops off. So what will we see by then? Will we see a 10 by Sal in the
Here comes
pits?
Sal. And where will he fall out in comparison is the real question. Sal has been right up there as Noel gets really close, but not close enough here. Where does he drop, and where does George van Rensburg also drop?
Nielsen through. Connor Puller get on by. This is going to be close.
It's going to be tight, but remember, it's all about how you get up to speed. Inside line for Tobias Sal. Power's going to be there on the exit here for Connor Puller, who can get himself up to speed quite quickly here. Moves over to that outside line. He's going to have to go around the outside to make the move happen. Sal, with the fresher tyres, is going to defend it.
It's job from Sal to hold on to that spot. Mason Green has also come in, so all of the pit stops we were potentially expecting have happened. 17 to go. Everyone is now pitted for their final time. Connor Puller now right behind Tobias Sal. And tell you what, have a look at who's closed up just behind very, very quickly. Martinez is... Oh! How many times have I cursed him in this race?
Oh, he's trying to get the power down, has a massive snap of oversteer, putting the power down on the exit. And if you think these Mercedes W13 performances are very difficult to drive, mark my words, they are monstrously difficult. You just have to look at it sideways, and it's going to go that way.
Watch the wheel. Comes through here, through the left. Power down right here. All of a sudden, no, I'm not cooperating with you. And
with the gear change.
Yeah, so the flick from second to third just didn't react very nicely at all.
No, and that's for Jorge Martinez will be a little cause for concern in terms of how the car was behaving there, and there will still need to be a little bit of better behaviour out there to sort out the racing acumen that is there. 8th position for the #1 driver by iRacing in this field was not the sort of day that he was hoping for. Still though, there are chances with 16 laps left in this race. We still talk about how there are still opportunities to find those overtakes, and that every single second is going to matter, and one small wrong move is going to turn things the wrong direction. Still chances for the likes of Kent Nielsen to catch Walter Lux out there. Still this race on, 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment, which is soon maybe turning to 7th and 8th, depending on how good the tyres are for Tobias Sal.
You know, you'd think that Sal should be able to drive away, wouldn't you? Because obviously fresh tyres versus 10-lap old tyres, he should be able to drive away a little bit. Martinez with 1 lap better tyres over Connor Puller. Last lap by, almost identical lap time. Not making any inroads. That much cleaner lap. Have a look at what has just happened. I was about to say that the cloud has come back over again, so that'll cool the track down. Right on cue, the sun's back out again.
Yeah, the sun is there, and it is fluctuating, so that track is definitely going to have that feel. That wind has been consistent, though, from the east, which has been causing a little bit of havoc on some of the areas of this circuit in terms of how they found a way through and made those moves. Would you argue as well, Jade, that that wind has maybe made it more likely to get the pass done at the Ski de Lago rather than into turn 1, as other series have found?
Yep, I agree with that. Wind plays a lot more of an impact in these cars than others. Just the lightweight nature of the cars and the aerodynamics. The wind is such a big factor. Understanding the wind direction and the wind speed and the wind changes throughout a race is very, very important, because it does change your braking points in these cars. When you've got such big, heavy braking zones where you're pulling up the car so fast in such a short period, such heavy braking load, extra 5 meters can be a huge difference in how much pace you can take into a corner or not. So the wind direction and pace is something drivers do keep an eye on and do need to understand throughout a race.
and there's a lot of understanding on what's coming up on the horizon. And we are, of course, nearing the end of the season, so now's the best time, Jay, to start talking about tracks for next year. And the big thing that's on the horizon that might be something that drivers are looking at, or the two things I would look at, are probably both beginning with M and both find themselves in Italy, Mazzano and Mugello.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to both of those additions. It'll be very, very cool to see. And of course, we've also had Jerez and Aragon come out as well, which will no doubt find themselves on the calendar next year. So some really cool tracks to come for this series in 2024. It's going to be a very, very cool series when we get to it. Late February, early March? Late Feb.
Yeah, I would assume early March is when we'll be looking at what's coming up next with the iRacing Grand Prix Tour, and not just this tour, the fixed tour as well, that's been going on at the same time over the course through. For those who don't want to deal with the setup and just want a car that they can go out and drive and feel that they can get their formula fix.
Yep, and it's been very, very popular, has the fixed series. iRacing providing the setups, and setups, a lot of drivers are saying are decently competitive. They're not the most amazing setups. They're not designed to be the fast setups out there. They're designed to be stable, consistent, and have a bit of pace to them. So some drivers that are the mid or lower pack are finding them very, very helpful in understanding setup technology as well.
Yeah, and every single time you go out there and drive, you might learn something new about what these cars are all about. Just want to keep an eye out on Cat versus Reed, second and third. Last 3 laps for Jacob Reed have been as follows: 1:12.4, 1:12.3, 1:12.2. For Anthony Cat, 11.9, 11.9, 12.1.
Yep. Cat is closing. I mean, it's not incredibly fast the rate that he's closing, but it's fast enough with how many laps we've got to go. 13 laps to go. If you can gain 0.3 a lap, there. So last lap by wasn't enough, but the other laps definitely were well and truly enough. So this is going to be a very, very interesting fight as we get closer to the end. Jacob Reed knows psychologically he has to push. He's also got in the back of his mind, I need to conserve and make sure these tyres last. It is such a difficult mindset to be in, knowing that you have to push and conserve at the same time. Other drivers would probably crumble under that sort of pressure, but Jacob Reed has been so good throughout the season at doing both of those things at the same time. What this lap is this time.
Well, the key here for Jacob Reed is he's coming up on traffic soon. He doesn't want to catch 12.4 that time. Cat over the line, 12.1, another 0.3 of a second, get clean off the slate. If Cat can get within a second, it's game on. It's 3.8 over the line with 12 laps to go, which means 0.3 of a second a lap is good. And look at this, Noel versus Ricciuti side by side. Now they are entitled to have their own battles out on circuit and to conduct them and conclude them, and the traffic will have to wait in terms of how they go through. Advisory not mandatory in iRacing, remember.
Yep, blue flags just mean that there's a car coming up, doesn't mean that you have to let them through. Like the real world, where if you get a blue flag, you've got 3 marshal points to give up the position, or at least make an effort to give up the position. These guys here, of course, they're fighting for everything back here. This is very, very important for them in regards to the iRacing Championship. Every point counts. So Noel and Ricciuti want to try and battle all the way to the end for this position. Jacob Reed will be thinking, please, guys, just sort it out. Or if you're not going to sort it out, let me through and continue your battle. There's Noel.
Oh, not yet. Ricciuti back up the inside. They'll scrap it through the second part. He takes a tap and has to scrabble through the grass. Just like that, he ends up with Z's, X's and Q's and realises that it's now that of Thomas Noel who can fly through. Jacob Reed as well will pick up a little bit too.
Jacob Reed will probably be happy with how that played out in the end, because it meant that he got through relatively easily without losing too much time. But how much contact was there between these two? Oh, was well and truly through, but I think he has a slight little lock-up, which meant that he couldn't clear on through, and yeah, that's a little wait.
Happens, but There's not much you can do about that. Those two were scrapping it out close together, and you're always looking at 2 wide through 1 and 2 as a gamble, especially turn 2. So deceptive is that corner down the hill that plateaus to flat. You can so easily find that contact because you're racing for the same piece of real estate there.
Yeah, and it narrows up a little bit if you're forced on that outside as well. It's really, really close to the wall, so you really got to think about your positioning on the track at that point. So he's probably stressing about that too, trying to drift over to the middle of the road. Walter Lux will be stressing a little bit about the gap from him to Kent Nielsen behind. Nielsen last lap by half a second quicker. That lap by another 0.3. It's down to 1.5 with 10 laps to go. Kent Nielsen will be there with maybe 8 or 7 to go. Walter Lux is going to have to drive very, very aggressively, elbows out, to hold on to this spot.
Now, Walter Lux will know that Kent Nielsen is a little bit of a threat in the championship. Is 24 points back of him. For him, though, his idea is 6 points over Connor Pooler. So Lux, at this moment in time, holds 4th place. That is 12 SimSpeed championship points. It is 10 points for 5th, 8 then for 6th, and then 6 points for 7th place, which means that as it stands, 12 versus 6 is 6 points. It would go to count back to see whether Walter Lux or Connor Pooler would be on top of the championship, and it would be Connor Pooler by virtue of the fact that Connor Pooler this season has 4 third-place finishes.
Yep, Pooler's had a pretty decent season. The rounds he's been good at, he's been absolutely brilliant, but he's had a lot of unfortunate results as well. Walter Lux has been probably that more consistent top 5 runner, but hasn't been able to capitalise on those better results than a top 5.
Tell you what, that gap is starting to claw back here for Anthony Catt. It is now under 3 seconds as Morgan Sohm will make his final stop with 9 laps left.
Had a chance to try and steal that fastest lap away back in the field. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That'd change everything if someone like Morgan Sohm could steal the fastest lap right at the end of the race. But I'm wondering if that's... I've succumbed to those tyres. I might as well give up on them and have some fun on those last couple of laps. With Kent Nielsen closing in and Anthony Catt now down to 2.4 seconds.
Every time it is starting to tick down, and Anthony Catt, lest we forget, has not had this season a second or a first. He is looking to jump higher on the podium, and if he does get to Jacob Reed and make that move, it will swing to Marcel Fassbender, the championship lead, heading to the Motor City Detroit Belle Isle.
I slept by another 3.5 tenths, 4 tenths of a second to Catt, so he's doing enough. But it's one thing to make an overtake as opposed to get there, so he's got to try and get there with enough time left in the race to make this overtake. Jacob Reed has looked very, very fast in DRS zones. So will he be able to do it? Anthony Catt, though, getting himself through traffic. One thing I've always found, Barry, I'm sure you agree, is the second car through in traffic, and you're in a battle pack like this, often has a lot easier time getting through than the first car. The first car comes up on the lap down cars and they go, oh, hang on, there's a car there, I better get out of the way. Second time, they're a little bit more aware and understanding of where that lap car is and how quickly they're closing up. Find a lot easier to get through that second car through.
And we're going to see it here because he might get a good run up this hill. And yeah, that DRS might be crucial. He has it. That's big in terms of his lap going forward. So he's now able to start using that, and he'll probably get a chance to use it on the next straight on top of that as well against Thomas Knoll. So that's a big run here for Anthony Catt. 1.8 seconds here now with 7 laps to go, and he's started to get quicker and quicker and quicker.
Half a second gain last lap by a 12.0 versus a 12.5. Again, DRS, look at that, it's gained another 3 tenths just in that section of track. He's there. It's only going to take another lap or two and he's going to have DRS. I thought it was going to take him the whole rest of the race to get there. He's going to be there with 6 to go.
And someone else who's also there is Kent Nielsen. He's knocking on the door of a second here of Walter Lux.
He's right there as well. He's within DRS zone now. So DRS range, I should say. So now down to half a second. Kent Nielsen, who's been doing a lot of this middle phase on the medium tyre, doing a great job on these softs now. He's got some great pace. Well, this has turned into a fantastic end of this race. 2 great battles to watch all the way to the end.
Oh, they absolutely have been. Ken Nielsen's best result this season has been 4th, and that was at Silverstone. You've got Jacob Reed, who does not want to have his 5th, or he wants, sorry, his 5th, second place finish of the season. He has not finished 3rd all season. Top and bottom, your 2 battles as it stands, and all of a sudden, it is now a gap of 1.4 seconds. Anthony Cat can taste it.
Right there, isn't he? He's ready to pounce. He's ready to take that position away. The bottom, Kent Nielsen not quite able to gain any more time on that previous lap. It stayed around that 5, 6, 7 tenths of a second. But Anthony Cat closing quickly.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, how did he get that far so quickly? Kent Nielsen's through. I said it was half a second or more, and all of a sudden he's through.
That's a powerful move, but it means that Walter Lux now has a chance to pass the Canadian. He'll go to the outside, and we'll have the DRS to try and scrap this one back. Has he got enough then? No, he doesn't. Kent Nielsen, what a move to put himself up into 4th place.
That's incredible from Nielsen. I'm shocked by it. I wasn't even prepared for that overtake to happen because I looked down, it was 6, 7 tenths of a second. Next thing he's through. How did he just get that move done so quick?
Big power move. We'll have another look here. Walter Lux looking behind is the Austrian at the Canadian, and very much a case of, well, what can I do? Oh, he absolutely launches it. That is just incredible. It's like having 2 different classes. That was so quick.
That was, yeah, like a Formula 1 and a Formula 2 car racing against each other. Just different classes of car, as you said. And can Lux come back? Remember, we know that Kent Nielsen likes to run a completely different downforce package to everyone else, but looks like everyone's running the same this week. But even still, that pace difference was incredible there between Nielsen and Lux, and it's just not able to respond now. He's a little rattled by that. Kent Nielsen up into 4th with a beautiful overtake, one of the best of the season.
Yeah, and there's still that chance. There's a look again at the Interlagos. It's not there. Anthony Cat, though, is struggling to make that ground. It's 1.2 seconds. He needs to get within a second.
Yep, Cat just not quite able to find that last little bit. And remember, now there's no traffic around. I'm wondering if Jacob Reed has just decided, hey, I need to save tyres until we get to that 1.5 second bracket. Then all of a sudden I can push on and go for it. But last lap by that lap there, another 1.5 tenths of a second. 4 laps to go. It's now 1.2. Just enough in favour of Jacob Reed, but if it gets to 1, I think it's almost race done.
This is agonising right now for Jacob Reed. He's doing everything he can, but Anthony Cat, he can't shake at this moment. Through the Interlagos once again, here on their 68th revolution of this circuit. This, the battle which could change the momentum of the SimSpeed Championship, leaving here tonight at Interlagos. On the brakes, then through the very technical middle sector, up and down and up and down. You are very much trying to go through what is the weaves of an incredible spell through this middle sector.
To take our attention back to that other battle for a second, I just want to show you, have a look in the background of this shot when we bring it up next time by. Tobias Saal. Hear the Jaws music. Last lap by, almost a second faster. He's closing and closing quickly.
Well, it might be a case that Saal has something to say as he wants some points, and some important points at that as well. That gap agonising still for Anthony Cat. He only clawed a 0.5 tenth of a second on that last lap. It's 1.1. It can't get any closer without DRS being an effect.
Yep. You feel like it's coming next lap, don't you? You feel like he's there now. Got draft, he just doesn't have DRS to help him. Yep. Gains it all through the corner, but he just loses it on corner exit, doesn't he? He loses a little bit on corner exit, but yeah, 9 tenths now, 8 tenths. Oh, this is on. This is race on.
It is no mistakes from here now needed for Anthony Cat. Jacob Reed has got to find the magic here to hold on. He's got to harvest cleverly as well here, the energy recovery system, to give himself as much of an opportunity as possible to go and defend in what has been an incredible race for the pair of them. They started both on the 7th row of the grid. They're racing for second.
Yep, they started side by side way back in the field. They're now fighting for position for a podium spot for Anthony Catt's potential best result of the season. DRS is helping him that lap by half a second in his favour. It is 7/10 of a second, 2 laps to go, 3 passing opportunities left.
Well, can you find where to make that pass? That is the key here. It might have to come to a drag race up the final straight if you want to get this sorted. Anthony Catt knows how good of a driver Jacob Reed is, but he's going to have to do this one absolutely by himself because there are no more opportunities to help Jason Green a little bit too far away for Jacob Reed to use as a defence through the middle sector. Reed is doing just enough to hold him at bay.
Yeah, and the other part of that is Anthony Catt probably only has one chance to do this. To get one opportunity. If he's close enough to get the pass done, he won't have a second. So he's got to do it absolutely perfectly when the time comes. The other part of that is Jacob Reed knows that Anthony Catt will have one opportunity. He's only got to defend once to hold on to this spot, you would think. Jacob Reed, has he done enough? 7/10 at the moment. It'll be 7/10 at the line. It's going to be a great last lap.
It will. It's already been started by Marcel Fassbender. Catt bringing that gap down. Is he going to be close enough for a lunge? Over through the curve of the Sol and down at the Ski de Interlagos.
Too far back.
You think he might have a half a chance here as the DRS flap opens and he closes, but no, he's still not quite there. He'll need a middle sector of the gods if he wants to go and get the championship lead for this driver, Marcel Fassbender, who comes out of Junsao corner and will climb up the hill through Arquibancadas and the Skidados boxes. It is a major win for De Marcel. He will take this one here at the brilliant Interlagos circuit, but his championship, it's either 1 point or it's the championship lead, depending on this run up the hill for Jacob Reed. He must hit his marks here at Junsao and hope that Anthony Catt doesn't have a great run. Wiggle for Jacob Reed. Here comes Anthony Catt. He's got a monster run on this straight. DRS flap open. Which way does he go?
He's got
to
it.
the outside. He takes second. Fassbender's got the championship lead, heading to the Motor City.
Wow, what a finish to that race. Jacob Reed loses out by 600ths of a second. Congratulations, Anthony Catt, first second of the season. What a finish to that race. That's incredible. And this battle is still going on. Tobias Sal might get this on Walter Lux right at the end.
He might do, but there's still the case there of Kent Nielsen, which I think's doing just enough. Saal will be on the wrong end of it. 6th place on the 3-stop strategy. Might not have been the best to call, but some incredible racing there, and the paradigm shifts for the first time in a while. Here's a look at how close the margins are and how much will that pass with about 100 meters left in the race mean to Jacob Reed and Marcel Fassbender as far as the championship's concerned. That is a huge talking point coming out of here. Fassbender dominated here today on pole, away from everyone, 29 seconds to the good. Anthony Catt's first second place finish of the season, though, sniped from Jacob Reed, means Fassbender now will move from a 1-point deficit to a 2-point championship lead heading into the Motor City at Detroit Belle Isle. Kent Nielsen will match his best finish of the season, finishing 4th with Walter Lux in 5th and Tobias Saal in 6th position. Connor Pula would end up 7th with Jorge Martinez getting himself an 8th place finish on his return to Formula Racing with the Grand Prix Tour. George van Rensburg gets some vital points in 9th, and Florian Kammeyer, the first of the 1 lap down drivers, would round out in 10th place. Jason Green would be in 11th lap down with Doriano Ricciuti scrapping all race long with Thomas Knoll. Morgan Soam would also find himself 1 lap down as he found Paul O'Regan 2 laps down. Nick Burke's race ending at the hands of Morgan Soam, and Jordan Gronkowski, his title hopes ending at the hands of himself. Interlagos never fails to deliver, but the Motor City Detroit Belle Isle, my word, is this the great roulette wheel?
The big unknown, isn't it, of the whole season? When you looked at the calendar, it was this Long Beach with the two. Wow, what is this track going to provide? But I can't wait. 2 weeks' time, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. Make sure you join us for that one. It's going to be a wild race.
It absolutely will. And this is the important run-in for the season. The race to Indianapolis Motor Speedway takes a stop through Detroit, and everybody is going to hold their breath. The championship has taken a turn. It is Marcel Fassbender who now leads it overall in both categories. One is more safe than the other, but it is the Motor City that is next. And as we know, anything that can happen will happen, especially when it comes to street circuits. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time, as that will prove to be the perfect penultimate round.